In the words of Lady Gaga, I'm beautiful in my way because God makes no mistakes. I'm on the right track, baby. I was born this way. Don't hide yourself in regret. Just love yourself and you're set. I'm on the right track. Baby, I was born this way. Yeah. I have to say, Mickey and I talked a month or two ago about the songs for the service, and she said, "Oh, we really want to sing Born This Way." And I hadn't written my talk title or anything, and I was like, that is going to be the title to my talk, because that is awesome. So I love and celebrate that. I actually went to a Lady Gaga concert a few years ago, and it was amazing. And she had everybody put their paws up. It was so cute. And she made a space where everybody was welcome. She took a stand for being a place where people feel like they're loved and appreciated exactly as they are. And you could see her love coming through. Now, I was way up in the rafters. All I could see was the big screen. And I felt it. And that's the kind of love I want to embody. That's the kind of person I want to be, where somebody could be way far up in the rafters and they could feel that I love them exactly for who they are. I wish that you could sing this song to every baby born. And also the face of God. I mean, how many of you were told you're the face of God when you were born? Some people were, and some people were not. We'll just be very clear. But it's a message that everybody needs to hear. And it's a message that we all deserve. And it's a message that bears repeating over and over again, because some people haven't heard it at all. One of the things we teach here at Centers for Spiritual Living, the basis of our teaching is oneness. But oneness doesn't mean uniformity. We talk about us being in the body of God. We are literally like, what do my organs look like? They all look different, but they're all part of me, an essential aspect of my beingness. And that's how each and every person was created. But not only that, we get to see each other, so we get to see how God expresses in its individuality. We get to witness the God in each other. We get to remind each other of who we are. Because oftentimes we forget, or sometimes people don't even know. And how important is it that you know that you are loved and worthy and created not only in the image and likeness of divine, but also an expression of the divine? You know, Rose Palmer sent me an article that said, God is queer. What? God is queer? And God is straight? And God is non-sexual? And God is every gender and no gender. It is the infinite everything. It is the expression of the all. And we are a part of it. We are a holy part of it. We are holy. We are the being where God shows up to express itself. We are that and so much more. And it's my hope and my intention that you take how sacred and holy you are home with you today. That you are loved and adored and worthy of love and adoration. You know, it's really cool because we have modern science. We have quantum physics. We have all these different types of science that has put together a lot of things that spirituality and mystics have been saying for years. But it's really, really cool to know and to be in a time period when it's coming to fruition in a logical resonant pattern where people can have evidence-based realities that proves what the mystics have been saying forever. You know, there's a study of epigenetics, and that says that environmental factors influence gene expression. And basically it says that even identical twins born to the same parents, obviously, are vastly different humans, bringing different qualities and skill sets and personalities. Their bodies are even different, even though made up of those same genes. It's like we were born to be unique, just like a snowflake, special and magnificent. Yet do we honor that in each other? Do we appreciate that about each other? Do we acknowledge that in each other? If I were to look at a rose bush and I saw two different roses on that same bush, would I say, oh, well, that rose is better than that rose? No. All I do is appreciate the beauty of what is. I've got three rose bushes in front of my house, and they're all different colors. I've got an orange one, a yellow one, and a red one. And they all smell differently, and they all look differently, and I love each of them, how they show up uniquely and differently. And it's important that we do that with humans too. It's important that we celebrate our differences and recognize that we come from the same source, and yet we are created uniquely, inherently valued and valuable in order to express this whole tapestry that is life. Although that isn't necessarily how it always happens. In our families, in our schools, in our cities, in our country, and the world. You know, Ernest Holmes has this expression, and he says, incarnated within each of us is not only a divine spark, not only an incarnation of the living spirit of the cosmos, but a unique presentation of the cosmic whole. Which means exactly who we are is whole, perfect, and complete. And exactly as we are not. And we fit together like a puzzle. Isn't it beautiful that I'm really good at some things and I really suck at other things, but my wife is really good at them? When we pack for a trip, it's awesome. Like, I'm the one with the checklist, and I'm thinking over all the things, and she's like, I'm just going to pack my clothes. I'm like, it's all right. I got it. I love doing this. I love organizing it. I'll make sure we have everything. I was a Girl Scout. I planned. I prepared. I think ahead. Be prepared. That is the Girl Scout rule, and that is me. I'm always prepared. And isn't it beautiful that we're different? But we go together so well, and that's how we are in this world too. But oftentimes, I don't always remember that. But it's so important that I do. It's so important that I remember that. If some of you in the room don't know who Ernest Holmes is, I will say that he's the founder of Centers for Spiritual Living, and he was a really cool guy. He studied all the world's religions, and then he studied science, and then he studied philosophy, and he was born in the late 1800s, and he put this all together in the 1920s. He was part of what we call the New Thought movement, and he cohesively articulated the synthesis of what is common between all of them. He called it science of mind. We might call it science of God or source. But there is something that's universal that runs through all these different religions that also science is a part of, philosophy is a part of, and he synthesized it beautifully, and that's what we teach here. But it's not an easy teaching because it requires me to look at myself and my beliefs and my patterns of behavior and how I am in the world and how I show up. And if I want to create a world, which is our vision, a world that works for everyone, if I want to create a world that works for everyone, I'm going to have to look at myself. Tracy Brown is a person who teaches diversity to Fortune 500 companies. She also happens to be a practitioner at Center for Spiritual Living Dallas, and she happens to be coming here in September to teach a workshop called From Ubuntu, or From Namaste to Ubuntu. And she also was hired by the practitioners to be their guest speaker for the practitioner retreat that they're having. She wrote a book called Stained Glass Spirit, because she wanted to articulate how important each of us are, that the light of God shines through each and every one of us like a stained glass window, and it requires each color, each little piece of that stained glass window in order to make the beautiful whole that we call a stained glass window. And when you see it all together and you see the beauty, it's something to really behold. And that's who we can be, if we choose to be. But it requires, one, that I embrace my own individuality, my own authenticity, that I'm able to stand in my own light in a way that does not diminish others, where we complement each other and we're part of this whole that is beautiful. And we can participate in that. I've been having this candid conversations, and I continue to have them with different people who help me understand their perspective. And Candid Conversations was co-created by me and Cassandra Ray Kagak. And it was actually her idea, so I want to give her credit for this. But she had this a sheet of paper called Identities. And when we first were going to have these conversations, she says, well, I'm going to send you this document. I want you to look at your identities. I want you to see where you are, who you are, in order for you to understand other people as well. And that we're all so unique and different. So I'm going to tell you some of my identities. And I at every beginning of a candid conversation, I lead off with this. I lead off with my identities. And by the way, some of these identities are changeable and some are not. Some I was born with and some I created for myself. My race is white. If I were going to do a survey, I would check off the white box. My ethnicity, which is different than race, is German, Irish, and Prussian. The country was Prussia whenever my great-great-grandfather came over to America. My national identity is American. When I go to another country, I am American. My sex is AFAB. If you've never heard that, let me tell you what it means. It means I was assigned a female at birth. And I'm cisgender. Cis means the same. So I identify as the same gender that I was born with. And I was assigned at birth. I was assigned as female at birth. My gender is female. I'm a woman. I would prefer if you use the pronouns she and her when you're referring to me. My age is 45. My sexual orientation is a lesbian. I'm a same-gender loving woman. My education is a master's degree. I also have an associate's degree, and I did not get a bachelor's degree. Another sermon for another day. My class, I'm financially secure. I'd consider myself middle class. My physical ability, I consider myself able-bodied. My marriage status is that I'm married to a woman. I got married before it was legal. And she is a Mexican-American citizen. My body size, I consider average. I'm 5'5". I also have a profession. I'm a full-time minister. My spiritual identity, I would consider myself interfaith or trans-denominational. But my religion of origin is Methodist. I was brought up as Christian. And so that's inherently a part of me as well. So it's interesting, some of these, like I said, I was born that way. And some of them I came into because of my family, my religion of origin, my country that I was born into. Some of it is changeable and some of it is not. But I'm going to do a little bit of history lesson today. The first thing is about race. So race is a social construct, and I didn't know this at first. And you might say, well, what does that mean? What do you mean race is a social construct? Well, the word race was used very infrequently before the 1500s, and it only meant to identify people who had group connections. And it was the modern day use of it just means people's physical traits, appearance, or characteristics. It's all a human invention. We invented this. In the mid-1600s, the English did not refer to themselves as white people, but in 1613 they started doing that because they were colonizing the East Indians, and they wanted to distinguish the people of their own land versus the East Indians, so as white and non-white. They wanted to be having a creation where these people would know each other, and they had a caste system, which means there was a group that meant more or had more privileges than another group. So as these colonists came from England, they brought this idea of white and non-white to society because they wanted to distinguish between the people who came over from Africa and the people who were also natives on this land, that they were not white. They wanted to affiliate with each other and make sure that they created laws and systems and ways of beings that would help them out. And also, in the effect of that, they also created a subhuman languaging around the non-white people. So unfortunately, our country was established on a basis of what we would now call racism, where it was determining that one group of people based on their appearance is better than another group of people. I had this candid conversation with Jay, who was talking to me, he's in the room right now, last week, and he was talking to me about him being in the Navy, and somebody says, oh, my daddy says I'm better than you. Well, why? Where does that come from? You know where it comes from is ignorance. It comes from ignorance. I didn't even know any of this history. But now I do. So anything where I'm in privilege, I might have an advantage over other people. I've decided that I don't really want that, but that doesn't mean that I get to just say I don't have it anymore. It means that I'm living in a society that gives me certain privileges, just in this case, based on my skin color. But the interesting thing about that is prior to the 1900s, I would be considered non-white. Why is that? Because the Irish, part of my heritage, were not considered white people until somewhere in the 1900s. So, yeah. So what does that all mean? It means that maybe we can look at these identities and instead of discriminating against them, we can look and learn from each other. We can use them as a way to reach out and find out more about each other. Another interesting thing I was finding out, gender. So sex, that is the assignment of my physical characteristics at birth. My gender refers to a socially constructed characteristics, such as roles, behaviors, expressions, identities. It's influenced by society and culture. And in the American culture, where I grew up, there was what I knew as 2 genders. But in the Navajo culture, there's actually 4 genders. They have male, female, dilba'a, which is masculine female, and nadlihi, which is feminine male, and also that term refers to people who are no genders or both genders. And that's how they grew up. So what is this whole thing about gender? And are you biased? Do you have a perspective? Does something different make you uncomfortable? How do you feel about men wearing dresses or skirts or heels? Does it make you uncomfortable? Maybe that's something to look at, especially if it doesn't have to do with your own gender and how you show up. Did you know that wearing pants for women was illegal before 1923? I would be arrested. Probably for a lot of other things too, but but just we got a few other people who are in the house, we'd all be in jail together. But isn't that interesting just how clothing lays on our bodies is a crime? Just how it lays on our bodies because we've assigned a gender to a piece of fabric and what it's supposed to look like. It's just ridiculous when I think about it. And women who are wearing headscarves because of their own honoring of their own religious path are discriminated against because they have something on their head. Black women couldn't even wear their hair naturally. Why not? Because we decided it wasn't okay for somebody to show up authentically for who they are? Somewhere, somebody decided that. But I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to play that game, but it has to start first with me. And then it has to start with me going and growing beyond my own comfortability into places of acknowledging and seeing and witnessing and understanding people who are different than me. Because the more I talk to people who are different than me, the more I get a new perspective, a new awakening, a new awareness. It stretches my own consciousness of what's possible. And imagine God, the infinite creator that created all of these different ways of showing up. Can we honor it the way the infinite presence loves us? Can we love others the way it loves us? But first, can we love ourselves in that same way? The interesting thing, I love that Rumi says, "You are born with wings. Why do we prefer to crawl through life?" You see that neuroscience says that self-attack and negative thoughts towards oneself activates the same fight or flight areas of the brain as the actual experience of a physical attack. So self-love allows for a higher brain creativity, courage, and joy to expand and express in our lives. And then we have these cool things called mirror neurons. Mirror neurons. So what it means is when I have something expressing in me, that your brain gets activated in witnessing it. So when I am being a place where self-love shows up, the self-love in you is activated in your brain. Isn't that cool? Shouldn't we be doing more of that? And shouldn't we be seeing the love in the other person, even though they're different than us? Can we go around in this world and believe the possibility that this is a place where love shows up? And then can we do that in a way that it motivates how we vote? Can we imagine a community, a country, a world where love is the solution, where love leads the way, where love allows me to have those uncomfortable conversations where I get to witness and grow? Because this teaching is not an easy teaching. Ministers in the house know this truth. Practitioners, you know it. It means you got to look at yourself and you got to say, where have I contributed to this world that I don't like seeing out there? And how can I be willing to shift and change my own ways of being, even though it's uncomfortable, so I can let all that love in and I can give it out? And it means I have to see my own belief systems, my own participation in the co-creation of this, even if I inherited it. I mean, the blackberries in my backyard, when I bought this house, were already there. And I keep pulling them out. And they keep trying to come back. But I inherited them. And I didn't necessarily want it. I didn't necessarily want to be categorized as white and get privileges I didn't even know about until I woke up to all of this. But now that I know, I can take action. I can be different. I can learn from others. And I can also take a stand for others in declaring that we all deserve love. We all deserve to be seen and heard and appreciated. And that means we're going to have some candid conversations. And they might be difficult. And I might have to see myself in a new way. And I might have to grow. But I'm willing to do that work because you're worth it and I'm worth it. And the world that I'm dreaming of is worth it. So who are you going to be? And are you going to love yourself? And are you going to take that love onto the world, into your jobs, into your professions, into your volunteer opportunities that you have? Are you going to be that love in the world? And are you willing to listen to others? You know, before this service, we were talking about the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. There's actually a platinum rule, and the platinum rule is do unto others as they want you to do unto them. I may have this idea of what I think is great for you, but maybe you have a different idea of what's great for you. Maybe I should treat you how you want to be treated. So I have some homework for you. The first thing I encourage you to do is create a mind map of your own unique skills, your own places that you shine. And then when you look at that mind map, I want you to love it. You could put pictures, you could put words. Make it in a way where you get to see it every day and you get to love yourself every day. The second thing I would encourage you to do is to write a letter to your younger self. Celebrate the unique qualities that you are, and maybe even telling your younger self all the words you wish you heard when you were growing up. So that you can remind that younger version of yourself that's still there, that might be hurting, how precious and sacred and holy you are. And then I want you to engage in conversation with someone from a different background, maybe a different age group, maybe a different skin color, maybe a different sexual orientation. And I want you to ask them questions out of curiosity to understand them and who they are. I just did a wedding a few days ago. And it was, some of the words in the wedding was, listen to understand. Don't listen to try and tell your side of the story. Listen to understand so that they can help you become a better person. And the last thing I want to encourage you to do is to perform acts of kindness on yourself and on others. Because I want these mirror neurons to ignite with wildfires of love, wildfires of appreciation, wildfires of appreciation and knowing that we are here to be a place where love shows up and we are a force for good in the world. And what does that good look like? It looks like you and me taking a stand for that, taking a stand for our diversity and loving each other how we show up. Are you willing to do this with me? Yes. All right. Me too. All right, let's pray. Let's pray. I am so grateful to recognize and know that this place is a place where love shows up. I know that I am somebody to love. That each and every person here is somebody to love. That each and every person online in their houses across the world is somebody to love. And so I allow the love to magnify and multiply and expand in my life so that I can freely be me, freely, authentically. And even whenever I stumble over my words or my songs, that I love myself exactly as I am, even in what we call imperfection, which is really just perfection showing our humanity. And so I recognize and know that this truth, that this day is a day of shift and change and awakening and opening, and allowing me to be open to the love that is here. So today I am somebody to love. And today you are somebody to love. And today we are somebody to love. I embody it. I accept it. I am grateful for it. And I know that God says, and so it is.